I don't know if you've ever visited an orchestra, if you've ever watched a performance. I remember going several years ago with my wife, and we went at Christmas time, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. All these different instruments. But what caught my attention was the conductor. Because when the conductor got up there and started getting everybody ready, and then as the music started playing, you noticed right away that he wasn't treating every single person. He wasn't treating every instrument the same way. The way in which he spent time with violins was different than timpani in the back, was different than the one harp over on the side. Like, not just cueing them in, but the rhythm at which he was moving and the attention that he gave different sections, all different. Wondered, what would it look like if that conductor had walked up on stage and was blindfolded? Like, didn't know who was in the orchestra, didn't know what instruments they were playing. You can understand how powerful it is to do that work, but you do that work while understanding who's playing what in the orchestra. If you walk up blindfolded and you're trying to conduct, I assume that they always sit in the same places, but you wouldn't know who's even sitting and who's not there. And you go, okay, but Chris, that's silly. That's ridiculous. Why would a conductor get on stage and manage an orchestra blindfolded? And I agree with you. It's ridiculous. Yet, what do managers do every day? They get in front of their teams and they don't know what instruments they play. They don't know what their skills are. They don't know how they're wired. And because they don't know, they're leading blindfolded. Now, I know you're going to say, we know roughly what someone does. And I agree with you. You wouldn't put a writer in a technical person's spot, and you wouldn't put a technical person in an artistic spot. Like, get that. But think about the orchestra and think about the people playing. It is not just, can you do something? It's, are you world class at doing it? And are you, so skilled that we can give you the solo, or we can give you the leadership role in a particular instrument realm. And so when we know that much information, we lead differently. But what happens when we're leading people and we don't know how they're wired? We don't know what moves them. We don't know what gives them energy. Then we're flying blind. Now, here's the other dynamic. As I said, I was watching this conductor, and this conductor knew when to cue different people in and knew how much attention to give them, knew how to engage them, knew the rhythms of it. The rhythm of that violin up front was very different than the timpani in the back. It was just like so clear. And you go, okay, when we lead, what if it wasn't that we're going in blindfolded? What if it was just we treated everyone the same? What if we treated every single person in our orchestra as a violin player? That would be insane. You couldn't handle all of that, but also you wouldn't want to treat the harpist or, the person down at the piano or what, like you wouldn't want to guide them the way you're guiding the violin. It just doesn't make sense. Yet again, when we look at everyday leadership, it's exactly what we see. We see leaders who treat everyone as if they're all the same. And you go, that doesn't make sense. What we need to do is recognize that these folks are different. And because they're different, we lead them differently. And so we come back to, gosh, you watch how someone does something really well and you go, that's incredible. But for me, I'm backing it up and going, what does that say about how we lead in everyday situations? If you aren't leading people in such a way that not only recognizes that every person's different, but that your management and your leadership has to be different for each one of them, then there's an opportunity to level up. And that opportunity starts by understanding not only yourself, but understanding every one of them, every person you lead. And that's why we have the motivation code assessment, because every one of your folks can take the assessment and then you can get that report back that tells you this is who they are. And therefore, this is how they're wired. This is what moves them. This is how they get energized. And therefore, here's how you ought to lead them, how you ought to pay attention, how you ought to engage them, whether you ought to put something really challenging or really exploratory. What's the right way to get the best out of every person you lead?